Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Live It Up. This is the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. We cover health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life you absolutely love. I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson. Amy will be joining us after the commercial break as we talk about something you've certainly heard a lot about. A small percentage of people have implemented this practice, but most have not. Stick around as we discuss the topic of meditation. What is it? Is it good for you? Does it actually work? Who's it for? Remember, health is the first wealth, so stick around. But before we get to that, I do want to remind you that if you have questions that you would like us to answer on or off the air, you can email them directly to me at fletcher@fletcherellingson.com. Hey, don't be bashful. If you've got a burning question, if you've got something you want to work through, email it to me and we'll take care of it, all right? If you feel stuck in an area of life, whether it's financially or in your health or in your relationships, get into action and reach out to us. Getting into action is the only thing that consistently makes a difference. You don't need to suffer. There's answers, there are solutions, and ways to get unstuck and move forward powerfully. Now, let's get to today's email. It says, "Hello, Fletcher. Here's a question for you. What do you do when your dreams are too big and there's no way to accomplish them? When I tell people about my dreams, they look surprised and either think I'm joking or tell me that my dreams are good ideas but would be impossible to actually implement or create. The fact is, I don't know how I would create them in the real world. I'm not rich, I'm not influential, I don't have much experience, but then why do I have these dreams? Thanks, signed, Big Dreams." Cool. This is a great topic. Hey, Big Dreams, thanks for reaching out. When people reach out for help, it's a sign of strength. That means you're strong, all right? I love this topic, and I have to say that you're the kind of person that this world needs. Our world needs people to think big. We need visionaries. We need people to think outside of that box. We need people to believe that what has only been imagined can be manifested in the physical world, even if the how is unknown. And I get that people might laugh, they might scoff, they might doubt, and right, you might find haters, right, around when it comes to your ideas and dreams, and that's okay. That's just a statement about them, not about you. It just means that they don't have the dream. And they don't have the courage or openness or willingness to look at what might be possible. Your dreams were given to you, not to them. They were given to you. They're yours. And here's the wonderful thing about it. Everything you need to manifest your dreams is within you right now. I want to say that again because when I used to hear that, I used to think kind of BS. But it's true. Everything that you need to manifest your dreams is within you right now. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is you may not have the skills or needed knowledge to create your vision, but I do know one thing you have. You have the vision. And as long as you're willing to be resourceful, you can do it. You see, being open, willing, and resourceful is all that you need to accomplish anything. I'll say that again. Being open, willing, and resourceful is all you need to accomplish anything. And all those things reside within you. It's not anything on the outside of you. So that's what I mean. And when I say that all you need is within you now. Let's take a look at a few people who have really exemplified this in the physical world. Let's look at Elon Musk, who disrupted the online electric payment system by creating what would become PayPal. He then went on to disrupt another industry, the auto industry, by creating the most advanced automobile in history. And it just happens to be electric, right? With zero emissions. And it just happens to be able to drive by itself. But he didn't stop there. He went on and created SpaceX, which allows companies or governments to transport equipment and supplies into space. And of course, his very ambitious goal of finding a way to allow humans to ultimately colonize another planet. Talk about big dreams. Oh, but wait. You might say, he's a billionaire. He's got everything that he needs to do it. Yeah, but it wasn't always that way. And all that he's accomplished required way more money than he has. He's extremely resourceful and willing. That's how he was able to do it. He didn't always have the money, but he had a vision, and he believed in himself. He was open and willing and resourceful. He was resourceful about getting the money. He was open to creating or networking with other people, right? He was open to other ideas. He was open to trying things that maybe didn't work. Or how about Richard Branson? Do you know that when he was 28 years old, he became aware of some of the islands in the British Virgin Islands? He became aware that some of them were for sale in the British Virgin Islands. This was in 1978. Branson then traveled to British Virgin Islands for a holiday to investigate the prospective real estate. And on first observing the islands, he envisioned using them to put up rock stars for his record label, known then as Virgin. Upon arrival, they were given a luxury villa, and they traveled around the islands for sale by helicopter. And the final island that he saw was Necker Island. And after climbing the hill and being stunned by the view and wildlife, he decided to purchase the island. Now get this, the island was up for sale for $6 million. This was a lot of money, right? Do you know what he offered? He offered $100,000. They were listing it for $6 million, and he offered $100,000. Because at that point, due to his relatively modest funds at the time in his career, that's all he had. That's all he could scrape together, which was significant still. But as you might imagine, he was turned down and he was escorted back to the mainland. However, just 1 year later, just 12 months later, the owner of those islands, John Littleton, he was in need of some short-term capital. And believe it or not, he eventually settled for $120,000. He sold the island to Richard Branson for $120,000, originally asking $6 million just 12 months previous. So he purchased an entire island that had been listed at $6 million for $120,000. A few months ago, I told you about a company called Watergen. They invented machines that you can plug into an electrical source, push a button, and it produces cool, drinkable water right out of thin air. If you don't know about this company yet, take a look them up online. They're called Watergen. But imagine the dream of the inventor. When he imagined producing water from the air, I think his name was Iri Kohavi. So he had this vision of producing water from the air. This machine, which is now being utilized all over the world, came from someone who had a dream and was willing and resourceful. The technology didn't exist, but it was a dream, it was a vision. And what a wonderful thing that he had the vision, because he made it happen. So I want to encourage you to dream big. You have the visions and the dreams, I believe, because you have the capacity to make them happen. You don't have to know the how just yet. Don't get stuck on that. You don't have to have the money in the bank account. Don't get stuck on that. You don't have to have the knowledge. But everything you need is within you right now. Courage, openness, willingness, and resourcefulness. All right? Now it's time for you to get in action. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. Read books of people who have pursued their big dreams and made them happen. Remember, whatever you focus on, you feel. Whatever you focus on expands, and whatever you focus on, you manifest. So stay in action. I believe in you. All right, we're going to take a short break, but we're going to be back to chat with Amy right here on Live It Up. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. We are here and we're chatting with Amy. Hey Amy.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about meditation.
Meditation. It seems like a lot of people are talking about meditation.
It's quite a popular topic these days.
We've been talking a lot about it in our household. And it comes kind of ebbs and flows in popularity, or at least maybe it's always there, but we just hear about it more once in a while. Anyway, what's the definition of meditation? What is it?
Yeah, so, well, there are many types of meditation, but if you're just talking about meditation, it's a type of mind-body practice. So people have been doing it for thousands of years. And during meditation, the main kind of components are that you develop an intentional focus, and so that you're focused on something that's intentional. So what that allows you to do in your brain is it's going to minimize the thoughts about the past or future. It's going to minimize all these random thoughts that are going. We've talked about how many thoughts people have in an hour every day or whatever, that it minimizes those. So basically you're focusing on the now. So like I mentioned, there's many types from all over the world. They also have in common, usually you're seated, usually it's quiet, and you have an open attitude and a focused attention. There are many techniques about how to maintain that focus. Some are like mantras where you might say something over and over again. Some may be focusing on the breath, and others may have components of more active visualization.
Yeah. So I like that it's all about kind of learning how to be more present, right? Because like you said, a lot of our thoughts are in the future or in the past. And one of the things I tell my clients all the time is like, neither of those places really exist. All that we have is the right now. What would happen if we just began to be more present in this moment?
Yeah, so that's a meditation, and it's not necessarily even, it's a little bit more than just being present. It's actually being focused on something, usually. So
yeah, cool. So what are some of the benefits of meditation?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of research about meditation over the last probably 9 or 10 years, and its studies have shown that it helps reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, helps with insomnia, heart disease, pain, like your experience of pain, digestive problems, reduces stress and helps develop concentration. It can even create more beneficial feelings, like a general improvement in your sense of well-being, positive mood, increase in empathy, increase in focus and attention. So some of these, I'll just go through some of these more specifically. So stress reduction is one of the most common reasons why people try meditation. And this claim has been, or that's been supported by many different studies. And we've talked about the harm of stress on our previous shows quite a bit, right? And so the fact that meditation can help reduce those stress hormones that your body releases when you're in this constant state of stress. And when your stress hormones are high, like we've talked about, it can affect sleep, affect mood, contribute to fatigue, and kind of that cloudy thinking that people can have. And there was a cool study they actually did with some Marines, where the scientists split two groups of Marines into two groups that were doing basic training. And so one had 8 weeks of mindfulness training and the other ones didn't have anything. And then the participants went through a particularly stressful day, like a long all-day training exercise. And then both groups had similar spikes in blood pressure and heart rate and breathing during when the test was going on. But then when it was over, the Marines that had gone through the mindfulness training, their heart rate and breathing recovered much more quickly so their nervous systems were able to calm down very quickly compared to the ones that hadn't. There's something specific called a technique called MBSR, which is called mindfulness-based stress reduction, and it's actually used. Lots of hospitals offer it for their providers. There are patients and people that can go through this training. It's an 8-week program, and it's been shown to reduce inflammation that's been caused by stress. So there's improvements in stress-related conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, PTSD, fibromyalgia. There's actually, I'll talk about at the end, there's actually a group around here, like in the fall, I think they have classes in Wenatchee on this MBSR. So it reduces anxiety. Studies suggest that meditation reduces anxiety and symptoms associated with anxiety, like phobias, social anxiety, paranoid thoughts, obsessive compulsive disorder, and panic attacks. And so even there showed benefit in those in different studies in the short term. Then even over the long term, the people that maintained meditation practice over several years, there was a lower level of anxiety. And yoga in particular for anxiety is good because it combines that physical movement along with breath work. And so it's a really nice way to calm down your body. Meditation has been shown to promote emotional health. So what we mean by that is that people can will experience a more positive outlook on life and an improved sense of self. It's really a way, like I experience it as a connection with myself. And so it helps in that way. Like I said, self-awareness. And so when you do develop this stronger sense of self and self-connection, then that helps you relate to others better, or in a deeper level, have more empathy. People experience more joy because they're more present. There was a study using seniors who took a mindfulness meditation class, and they experienced reduced feelings of loneliness compared to a control group.
Interesting. And I think it's important to point out that meditation is a practice.
Yes.
Because I think in my life I've heard a lot of people say, well, I've tried meditation, it didn't really work for me.
Right.
And it's like, oh, how long did you try it for? Oh, I tried it, a couple times, or a few times, and it's a practice. It's something that we're not practiced at, so it's something that we gain skills around, because we're not used to just being present and calming things down. We're always on the go, on the go, on the go.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people who are listening to this, if you've tried it and maybe you feel like, it didn't do anything for me, I would suggest perhaps giving it another shot. But really, as she just talked about, these courses are like 8 weeks long, right?
Yeah.
And that's so that you develop a habit. Your mind begins to learn, and it's a skill set that you actually develop. So.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone say, well, I went to meditate and it just came naturally.
Yeah.
It's like, no, everyone experiences the feeling of, oh my gosh, my mind was racing. Like,
Yes.
That's just because that's how we are right now in our day and age all the time. And so that's normal to feel like your mind is racing when you first try it.
Right,
Yeah.
So you've mentioned that meditation can physically change the brain. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So Harvard Medical School and Mass General has a really large center looking at this, at their Mind-Body Medicine Center. And they've done a lot of research. So there was a neuroscientist at Mass General and Harvard Medical School that they studied long-term meditators versus a control group. So they found that the long-term meditators had certain areas of the brain there were increased gray matter or nerve content in the sensory areas of the brain. And so you had an increase in the areas that are, responsible for your experiencing your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
They also found more gray matter in the frontal cortex, that's associated with memory and decision making. And that's an area that tends to shrink as we get older. People have a harder time figuring things out and remembering things. So they actually looked at these long-term meditators, and the 50-year-old meditators, long-term meditators, had the same amount of gray matter in the frontal cortex as 25-year-old meditators.
Wow.
So it really makes a difference in like the anti-aging of your brain. They did a second study because then you could say, they did another study with people who've never meditated before, and they did 8 weeks of mindfulness, the MBSR training, and they found differences in brain volume even after just 8 weeks. So there was an increase in the size in areas related to learning, processing, memory, empathy, and compassion. And then the cool part is that the amygdala, which is responsible for your fight and flight response, for the stress response in your body, that got smaller. And so people experienced less stress.
Wow.
So it seems that as the amygdala shrinks, the prefrontal cortex, which is like the newer part of our brains, versus the amygdala, which is like the lizard part of your brain, it gets thicker. So there's improvement in awareness, concentration, and decision making. So this lead researcher, her comment is that the picture we have is that mindfulness practice increases one's ability to recruit higher order prefrontal cortex regions in order to downregulate lower order brain, or like older parts of your brain. This took place in only about 8 weeks.
Cool.
And in the study, they looked at where people did 40 minutes a day.
Yeah.
But when that was what they were supposed to do, but actually they only did about, on average, 27 minutes a day. So I wouldn't recommend trying to do 40 minutes a day right away. But even if you did it 20 minutes twice a day, or 10 minutes 4 times a day, so like we talked about, it's something that you need to practice over time.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of different meditations. You have guided meditations. You can sit and do it yourself.
Yeah.
So there's different ways to become comfortable with the practice.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick commercial break.
All right, see you in a minute. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. We are talking today about meditation and the benefits of it, and there are a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
I know you meditate and you've gotten a lot out of it.
Yeah, I love meditating.
Yeah. Well,
I find it really fun. I didn't used to love it, but it's been several years now, and I really love it, and I miss it when I don't do it.
yeah. Yeah, that's great. Well, if other people want to get into it and love it like you do,
Yeah.
how do they get started?
Yeah, so I would just recommend, there are a couple, depending on how you like to do things. So you can either try it yourself, or you just maybe do, I think I started out with 5 minutes at a time, and then I went to 7 minutes at a time, and then now I can easily do 20 minutes at a time. So you just want to work up to it like we talked about. You want to just eliminate any distractions, turn your phone off, make sure it's even either off or away from you. You want to sit quietly, take some deep breaths, and you can just practice focusing on your breathing. So some people, there's a technique where you can focus on the air going in and out of your nostrils. You can actually feel it. So you're wanting to focus on something so you can let go of your thoughts. So focus on your breathing there, your breathing in your belly. Some people can focus on your forehead. You can count your breathing. Guided meditations can be a way to start. I love using YouTube. I think YouTube is a great resource. And so if you were to just search in YouTube, guided relaxation meditation, you can even do 5 minutes to start. That can be a way to help you understand or experience how to relax your body. And then it's really normal, like I said, to have those thoughts are really normal. So people, you just want to let those thoughts go away. So you don't want to get hooked on the thoughts. So just let them dissolve. Imagine them floating away. Just don't give them any attention. If you found yourself all of a sudden thinking about something for a minute, it's like, that's okay. Just let it go and get back to your focus.
Yeah.
There are some good apps. If you have a smartphone, you could use 3 of them that I know that people really liked, and I've tried a few of them. One is called Headspace, Insight is another one, and Calm is another one. And then I mentioned the classes in the area. There's a website called mindfulnessnorthwest.com, and they have resources on there for the MBSR, the mindfulness-based stress reduction. That's a way to actually take a class. So you can just Google it. You can buy a book. I mean, there's so many different ways to get started.
Yeah, and there's somebody up in Canada. His name is Bradley Morris. We both have listened to his, and those are a great way too. So you could Google Bradley Morris meditation.
Yeah, I think we have time. I just want to tell you about this quick story about these Buddhist monks.
Yeah.
That they've been doing, they do hours and hours of meditation every day. And these one type do a specific type of meditation. And this Dr. Benson, who's out of the Harvard Mind-Body Institute, they did this experiment where these monks were in their robes, were in a room that was 40 degrees Fahrenheit. They had really cold sheets that were at 49 degree water. And what the monks thought they could do.
So they were wet sheets.
Wet sheets, cold room, is they said they could dry them with their body heat, just sitting in this cold room. So they put a sheet on them, on their shoulders, and they dried the sheets within an hour. And they had to do 3 sheets. They dried them like back to back. And so the point is that there's stuff that our body is capable that we don't even know about, and that's what meditation can really help tap into. There is a quote that I think I'll just say from Dr. Benson to end this, as he says, "My hope is that self-care will stand equal with medical drugs, surgery, and other therapies that are now used to alleviate mental and physical suffering. Along with nutrition and exercise, mind-body approaches can be part of self-care practices that could save millions of dollars annually in medical costs." And I really believe in that, and I'm excited that Harvard is putting so much into this as well.
Yeah, I love it. That's an exciting vision to hold.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are out of time. Thanks for joining us. It's now time for you to get out there, be a source of kindness, be a source of contribution. You have something to offer this world, and we believe in you.
And try to meditate.